Hi, everyone, and welcome to How It's Done Study Skills Workshop, part of our Be Engaged workshop series brought to you by the Office of Student Financial Aid. We will start today by introducing our Student Success Services within the Office of Student Financial Aid. Our Success Services offers a range of resources, including one-to-one success coaching and basic needs support, both of which works to provide essential support to students. Additionally, we have our workshop series, which covers a diverse set of topics designed to enhance individual success. Finally, we have our mentorship piece, providing an opportunity for peer-to-peer and peer-to-alumni mentoring. Our space is located at East Campus Mall, but for now, we are also available virtually. The basic needs coordinators and success coaches are available to meet with you through video chat or over the phone. Visit our website located in the bottom left of the screen to set up a meeting with us today. And now, to introduce ourselves. I'm Jordan Salas, and I'm a second-year PhD student.
Hi, I'm Lucy, and I'm a first-year master's student. The role of the Student Success Coach is designed to help you identify a pathway to success across different areas, optimize opportunities, and enhance your Wisconsin experience. This presentation was made in collaboration with our colleagues from the Greater University Tutoring Services, or GUTS. Sanjana specializes in concentration, time management, and various study habits. Freya specializes in concentration, motivation, and time and stress management. Both Sanjana and Freya can be contacted by email, which we'll put in the chat now.
All right. Today's workshop, How It's Done Study Skills, is designed to help you become reacquainted with basic study skills that will make achieving academic success a bit easier and less stressful, regardless of your status as a student. If you're new to our space or just need a friendly reminder, we welcome you to use the chat feature to comment during the webinar. Also, we'll have an opportunity to engage in an open dialogue midway through the presentation, and we'll also open the floor for discussion at the end of the presentation. So let's jump right in.
Basic study skills are essential for achieving success as a student and can work to ensure that you're retaining, and not just memorizing, information. Whether you're in need of a quick crash course on basic study skills, need a bit of help identifying best practices for taking notes during lectures, or need a bit of help reading dense text, a review of basic study skills may go a long way. Let's consider a few different strategies and tactics that can define basic study skills. First, effectively managing your time. This is key to avoiding late night, last minute cram sessions. Waiting until the last minute to review your notes can cause test-related anxiety and desperation, making it much more difficult to retain and learn the content. Instead, you might consider reviewing your notes daily throughout the week and identify concepts and ideas that you may need to spend a bit more time mastering. On a sheet of paper, in your planner, or somewhere else, create a weekly to-do list and identify how much time you'll have in between classes, work, and other obligations. How much time is left for studying? Do you find you need more time than you currently have? Are you stretched just a bit too thin and need to reclaim a bit of your time? Effectively managing your time is key to optimizing your performance as a student, and it can make all the difference. Next, good note-taking. Well, what does it mean to take good notes? How do you know that you've taken good notes? And what's the utility of good note-taking? To quickly and effectively capture what a lecturer is presenting in class, consider taking shorthand notes. Shorthand notes are a great way to capture the big idea, along with supporting details mentioned in lectures. Additionally, you'll want to make sure that you're staying organized and avoid mixing up your class notes with your reading notes or other notes from an entirely different class. Consider dating and labeling your notes for each class along with their corresponding reading notes to make sure you're staying on top of it all. Let's take a deeper dive into effective note-taking next.
Right. Generally, it's a good practice to copy a lecturer's PowerPoint notes in addition to capturing information delivered during class. With that in mind, consider the following. If you're covering factual information, write down verbatim all the information provided in the lecture. Using the shorthand method, along with paraphrasing the information, will be most efficient in making sure that you've captured all of the necessary information. If the lecture is covering conceptual information, work on capturing the main idea of the presentation rather than copying word for word the lecturer's presentation. If allowed, take pictures of diagrams or slides to return to later on. If you're taking notes for an asynchronous class, don't be afraid to pause or rewind the clip to ensure that you've captured the right information and to ensure that you've identified the main idea of the lecture. In order to optimize your in-class note-taking, it's always best to arrive to class prepared, having already read the assigned text. Reading the required text before each class meeting allows you to identify main ideas and the most important concepts ahead of time, which gives you a heads up on the main idea of each section of the presentation. That way, you'll know exactly what to focus on. Additionally, it's a good idea to review notes from the previous class, reviewing where the lecture left off in order to situate yourself for the current class. Also, having done so, this allows you to think about new ideas, existing concepts, and the more complicated parts of the material so that you can narrowly focus questions or highlight key parts of the presentation to return to later during your independent study time.
You may not realize it, but writing in shorthand text is fairly common, and you might be surprised just how often you already rely on these abbreviated messages to communicate. Just as the example on the slide indicates, shorthand text is abbreviated symbols. It could be a letter and number combination that captures one or more words or phrases and allows you to quickly and effectively record notes. As illustrated on the slide, shorthand text is a quick snapshot of a much longer sentence or phrase, and it's easy to record and remember. The utility of shorthand text is that it allows you to write in your own words, write in short bursts capturing more words per second, and to make connections quickly across large amounts of information. There are several ways to write in shorthand form with sophisticated symbols and combinations. Some of you might already be familiar with the Gregg shorthand method, a technique used by publisher and educator John Robert Gregg. However, for the sake of recording notes quickly and efficiently, it isn't necessary that you become an expert in shorthand text in order to benefit from its use. You're free to adapt this method so that it's in line with your learning style. And on that note, we'll drop a link in the chat that further explains the Gregg shorthand note-taking method.
We'll share a link to a short video about note-taking. After watching the video, ask yourself the following questions. Do I currently use similar techniques for note-taking? Do I currently rely on abbreviations or other shorthand methods to record notes? How about diagrams and charts? Do you find it super helpful to design charts for notes? What are some of the methods that you use that we've not discussed in the video?
First, before you begin reading passages and taking notes, it's important that we organize our notes. Title and date the document, and write down section and subsection titles so that you can retrace your steps after you've taken the notes. Similar to taking notes during class, you'll want to preview the information before diving right into the reading. For this, it might be helpful to have handy your notes taken during class. Once you've previewed the assigned text along with previewing your class notes, it's time to break out the highlighter, or another tool that will help you accurately capture main points and the most important parts of the text. Hint: sometimes it's best that you read a paragraph at least once before highlighting and taking notes. Sometimes the information gets very deep inside of really dense text, and it might take a second active read in order to capture the most important information. As you're actively reading and actively jotting down your notes, ask yourself the following questions. Do your notes capture the main ideas? Have you captured the most important dates, locations, and people involved? Have you thoroughly captured the main concept that the text is attempting to explain? One tactic to rely on to ensure that you've captured the most important pieces of information may be to jot phrases and questions on a post-it note next to a particular paragraph on the text. On the post-it note, for instance, you might write a person's name referenced in the text. This should prompt you to ask, how did this person contribute to this event? Similarly, you may write down a concept or phrase, prompting you to answer, why and how is this concept significant to the overall idea in the text?
Have you ever sat in class and tried so hard to decipher what's worth jotting down in your notes so long that you just got confused and wrote a lot of unhelpful gibberish? You are not alone. This has likely happened to most of us. However, there's a way to avoid this from happening. Very often, instructors will highlight what's important and what's less important. Many times, you'll hear an instructor say, "This may be on the exam," or they'll indicate in other ways what's most important in the lecture. It's key to listen closely to identify those instances and record notes that fully capture those details. Additionally, to avoid worrying about capturing every word in the lecture, it's helpful to identify recurring themes that appear both in lecture notes and the class readings. You'll want to pay particular attention to those details and take note of them as well, which is helpful because it will help increase your grasp of the material.
All right, let's talk about the Cornell note-taking method. In order to create a Cornell note, first you need to draw a 2.5-inch margin on the left-hand side of your paper. The area on the right-hand side of the line should be around 6 inches, which is going to be used to write information you get during class. After each new point, skip a few lines in case you miss some information and need to go back and complete any phrases or sentences after class. For some significant information, write a Q in the 2.5-inch margin on the left-hand side. Think of your left-hand margin as a summary and your right-hand margin as the information. Don't be afraid to use lists, bullets, numberings, highlights, and more. The right margin is free-form notes. To review, cover your notes with a card, leaving the cues exposed. Say the cue out loud, then say as much of the material as you can remember that's underneath the card. When you've said as much as you can, move the card and see if what you said matches what's written down. To sum up, the advantages of Cornell notes are that they're great for reviewing your notes, summarizing key concepts and ideas, saving time and effort in review, and incorporating free-form and structured note-taking.
The outlining method is a basic outline form, headlining large concepts and narrows down to specifics, which is best for easily creating study questions for review. Basically, this method asks you to write each point in an organized manner based on space indentation. You should place major points farthest to the left and indent each more specific point farther to the right. Level of importance is indicated by distance away from the left margin. The advantages of the outlining method is that it emphasizes content as well as relationships between the material. It also reduces the time needed for editing and allows for easy reviewing. As shown on the slide, the main topic should be closest to the left margin, and the subtopic, which summarizes the content related to the main topic, should be indented farther to the right side. And lastly, add key points, which are supporting details and examples for the subtopic, which is indented farther to the right side compared to the subtopic.
One other idea for note-taking is visualizing connected topics and ideas. The basic principle of mind mapping is instead of lined paper, you start on a blank page. The subject of the map, which can be the topic of the class, is always placed in the center of the mind map, and all related notes are written in a radiant structure around the center and connected to it with lines. The elements closest to the center are similar to headlines. They're the most prominent, most important pieces of information. From there, more detailed notes and keywords can branch off. You can use colors, icons, and images to make your map more unique and memorable. You can also develop your own system of color codes and icons, which you can then reuse for all your maps. Developing study skills can be a bit tricky, a bit of a trial and error type of an experience while you're trying to find just how best you review and learn information. Let's consider a few strategies and tactics designed to support you while you're preparing for an upcoming exam or assignment. First, there's the Pomodoro technique. This might be especially useful when you're reviewing dense content. The way it works is pretty simple. This technique suggests studying for 25 minutes, followed by a 5 to 10 minute break. Once that 5 to 10 minute break is over, begin studying for another 25 minutes. Repeat this cycle 4 or 5 times before taking a longer break. Benefits of the Pomodoro technique include increased accountability, an improvement in weekly and monthly planning, and decreased mental fatigue. Of course, you can adjust the study and break time so that it's most conducive to your learning style, but the idea is that you're incorporating several smaller breaks in between the larger blocks of time used for studying. I'm posting a link to learn more about the Pomodoro method in the chat now.
Reward yourself. So imagine this. You're torn between watching a movie and studying. The responsible choice is obviously to begin studying. Make a deal with yourself by studying for a few hours, followed by a quick review, and then watch the movie. The benefits of a reward system includes the feeling of being cared for, acknowledgement of a strong effort, effective goal setting, and it maintains your motivation. The self-reward system also works well with the Pomodoro technique.
You could also try creating a study group. Perhaps you're someone who works well in small groups and you could benefit from having an accountability partner. Create a small study group with 1 to 2 of your classmates and take turns reviewing and creating short quizzes in preparation for an upcoming exam. The benefits of a study group include socialized e-learning. You might learn faster. You might learn new and different study techniques. And it breaks up the monotony of studying alone. Next, let's put this all together.
Locate your why. It might seem super obvious why it's important to do well on an upcoming exam or an assignment. Beyond the obvious, ask yourself why doing well on this exam or assignment will be beneficial to your academic career. Perhaps this exam will make the difference between earning an A in the class, or maybe mastering the material will make your transition into a higher level class much easier. No matter what your why is, remind yourself often what your goals are. Additionally, locating your why is a great way to remind yourself of what you need to do in order to succeed. Perhaps your why is the pathway between where you are now and the internship that you wish to land over the summer. Finally, it's time to get started. Start off with something a bit easier that will increase your confidence and will prepare you to conquer the heavier stuff.
Across campus, even virtually, you can find many resources that are designed to help you remove barriers prohibiting advancement in a number of areas. The Greater University Tutoring Services, or GUTS for short, will continue providing helpful techniques to assist the adoption and reinforcement of best practices and study skills. Additionally, GUTS provides one-on-one assistance and offers tutoring services across a wide range of academic subjects. The McBurney Resource Center continues to be a resource for students seeking assistance with alternative learning formats while fostering an environment of academic success. The Dean of Students Office works to address a number of issues, ranging from personal events to academic concerns, and can help students navigate through especially difficult circumstances. Specifically intended for students associated with the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Educational Achievement, or DDEEA, Academic Coaching and Tutoring Services works to pair students with academic coaches in order to achieve academic success.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll continue providing content that both supports your transition into an e-learning environment, as well as resources that work to help you develop different skills to address roadblocks on your pathway to success. I'm going to post a link in the chat now that will take you to our workshop library. All of our workshops have been recorded and PDFs have been made of the slides with our speaker notes. You can access this library at any time to learn more about the different resources and skill sets that you can apply to many areas of your life within and beyond the classroom. Additionally, the Office of Student Financial Aid will continue to host workshops throughout the semester. Lastly, for those interested, the Office of Student Financial Aid also offers one-to-one success coaching where you can meet with myself or Lucy to discuss potential challenges and barriers that you may be experiencing, or to learn more about any of the topics that we cover in the workshop series. Until next time, take care.